What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Big Niles back with another Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video. And this is a direct follow-up video from my last one. And in this one, I'm going to be talking about what I think this game could have done better. Specifically focusing on the single player. The first thing and the most important thing I want to highlight is the boss fights. I feel like the boss fights could have been done a lot better, and they could have put more effort into making each boss fight feel different from the other. I mean, because the Justice League is made up of a lot of different characters, so you would think that their boss fights would play out a lot differently, but that's just not the case. Superman, Green Lantern, and the Flash's boss fight pretty much feel the same. And I mean that in the way that it's structured. It drops you into the level. They have a health bar on the screen, and you have to take down their shield to actually damage them using the counter shot, and then after you take down their shield, they turn into bullet sponges until it's time to take down their shield again. And that's just rinse and repeat until you kill them. They may throw a curveball in there with the Flash's tornadoes, or basically he was moving fast enough to where there were you were fighting multiple Flashes, or at least it seemed like that. Or Green Lantern may throw a curveball by creating a structure that we hadn't seen before. But other than that, it's pretty much the same boss fight. And I just feel like they could have put more effort into making those feel different. Maybe we could have fought Flash in the Speed Force, and you have to specifically use Captain Boomerang to weaken him, or something like that. Maybe with the Green Arrow, or I'm sorry, not Green Arrow, Green Lantern, maybe they could have introduced another Lantern ring to fight against him, because they even leaned into that with the King Shark cutscene after the boss fight. So if in this universe, at least, if another character can use a Lantern ring, why not just lean into that and actually let him use it and use that into the gameplay? That doesn't make sense. Like, you kind of showed us something that we couldn't have, really. It was just for the cutscene. It was just for show. And then the Superman boss fight was really more simple than all of the boss fights. It was more simple than the Flash and the Green Lantern boss fight. There was nothing really particular that stood out about it other than the fact that he can fly. And yeah, I just feel like they could have put more. These boss fights weren't bad, but they could have put more effort into making them feel different. Now, I have a lot to say about the Batman boss fight. One, the actual Batman boss fight didn't feel like a real boss fight. It just felt like a kill shots on my damn calling card. I don't know. It felt like something that we were watching. It didn't feel like it was a boss fight in a way. Maybe the final part of it, but that, I felt like that was very weak. It felt like something from Call of Duty Zombies or something. Like a final boss in Call of Duty Zombies. It just didn't make sense for a Batman boss fight. And if you remember at the beginning of the game, it turns into a Predator map, a Predator challenge, and basically Batman is hunting us, and he's using all his gadgets and abilities to hunt us one by one. That's at the beginning of the game. That's within the first hour of the game. That was a better boss fight quote-unquote boss fight than the actual one. That's a better representation of what it would be like to fight Batman than the final boss fight that they gave us. Now, they could have left the final one in there, but they were on the right track with the first one, I believe. Even though it was scripted and it wasn't enough, I feel like that was more fun to play than the actual boss fight. My second thing that I want to talk about is the fact that I don't think that they used this beautiful open world map to their full advantage. And we're going to start this point off by bringing it right back to Batman and talk about how throughout the entire game, Batman is basically stalking you and the rest of your squad. And Batman's role in this game is to basically follow you and not torment, but stalk you throughout the game. I feel like they could have integrated that into the gameplay. So instead of him just standing up on the rooftops just watching us, we should be able to engage with him and actually fight him, and that be a part of the gameplay. That would have been very interesting, and we actually have to watch out for the rooftops and the shadows for him to actually attack, not just watch us. I feel like they really missed the opportunity for something great. I feel like that's pretty. I feel like I don't see how Rocksteady missed that. Because I mean, come on, like they created Arkham Batman. So, and they kind of gave us a feel of what it would be like to be hunted by him, but not really. Like they could have integrated that into the gameplay better instead of everything being so scripted. And we can talk about that first Batman encounter. Even that was, it was cool, but I feel like even that was too scripted. Like, if we could, maybe it should have been, we should be able to work together to actually defeat him, and not that we were supposed to lose that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we could have worked together to actually defeat him instead of us being forced to fail, if that makes sense. That would have made for a lot better gameplay and made it an actual challenge to beat Batman. Let me see. What do I have here? I already talked about how it didn't feel like we were fighting against Arkham Batman, but it just didn't seem like, I know it's not a Batman game, it just didn't seem like the story was consistent in how powerful Batman has been in this universe. Like, they nerfed him just for this game specifically, because we know from the things that he's pulled off in the Arkham games that he's more powerful than they showed in this game. And that boss fight that they gave us, that's just not how it would have went down, or it should have went down, considering how powerful he is in the Arkhamverse.
Finished with Toyman's request.
So yeah, that's how I feel about that. I feel like they just completely dropped the ball on this being the last we're ever going to see of Arkham Batman. I feel like they completely dropped the ball on that.
I'm above these creeps' pay grade.
The next thing is that I want to talk about is vehicles. I feel like the traversal was good, but vehicles would have made it more fun. I like the little bit of vehicle combat that we had. I just don't feel like it's enough. I feel like we needed more vehicles. We needed more types of vehicles, and it should have been integrated into the actual traversal and not just used for combat. Now, throughout the story, they tease multiple vehicles, like they're showing us things that we can't actually use, and that's very frustrating. At some point, Gizmo builds a tank and he drops it in to fight Superman, and then they take it right away before we can use it. Like, that would have been a very fun level to use a super tank to defeat Superman. And I don't like that I just don't like that they did that. Like I said, the traversal is fun, but it could have used a little bit of extra something else. Here, finish this. I'm struggling with this one. Going against these Batman infused enemies who use stealth. They created Batman infused enemies that use stealth against you, but didn't actually do that with actually the character himself that these enemies are based off. That just doesn't make sense.
A little more data, and it'll be time for our celebratory group hug.
Finished with Toy Man's request.
The next thing I wanted to talk about is the Justice League interacting with each other. It doesn't really feel like we're fighting the Justice League working together. We're more so just fighting the Justice League individually. I wish we would have had more moments of the Justice League. Did he just disappear? More moments of the Justice League working together to defeat us. Now, throughout this game, they're underestimating the Suicide Squad, so they're not really taking us seriously in a way. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, you would think one Justice League member would be able to handle a Suicide Squad by themselves, but I just feel like all the Justice League moments of them together are hidden in the audio logs and the concept art and things like that, and I feel like they could have gave us more of that. I feel like fans would have really appreciated if they had flushed out the relationships of the Justice League. I hope that somebody from DC sees this video, or Rocksteady, and they use this to help them in their making of the DLC in their next game, because a lot of people were interested in what this game had to offer, and I think it disappointed a lot of people because we know that they could do better than this. Like, this is nowhere close to to Rocksteady's best work, and it's pretty clear of that. Like, we all just want a good DC game. But back to my point about the open world, I feel like instead of it being you go here and you fight this specific league member, I wish they had used more of this open world. Like, there's a lot of space in this open world that really isn't used, so they could have just had Justice League members roaming the city, and sometimes you run into Batman, sometimes you run into Superman, sometimes you run into Flash, sometimes you run into Wonder Woman, sometimes you run into Green Lantern, and the interaction would go on from there.
Ooh, you cannot
but
price on this stuff.
I feel like it's just very scripted. Like, we've kind of seen this before. I was kind of hoping that they were going to do something that nobody else had done before, and saying it out loud makes me realize that it is a pipe dream, and that That's pretty much, that's a lot to ask. That's too much to ask for Rocksteady at this point. Like, come on, they were never going to do that. But I think we just wanted something fresh from this game, and it still has the potential to be good, but the single player is what it is now. Like the multiplayer still has potential to be good, but the single player is what it is, and that's not changing. But I know that people just want it more. But yeah, I think that's gonna be the end of this video. I've rambled long enough about what I wanted from this game. It's still fun, but it's disappointing when you think about what it could have been.
What can I say? I gotta kill you.
And like I said, I'm not giving up on it, but it was never going to be what I wanted it to be, or as good as I wanted it to be, and that's just sad knowing what Rocksteady is capable of. So yeah, appreciate everybody for tuning into this video. Hopefully my next video isn't this scattered. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next video.
Kill shots on my damn calling card.